All right. Samohi Campus Plan Revisited. This is the part 4. Once again, I'm Kerry Upton, the Chief Operations Officer. Give me a moment as I share my screen. Okay, Samohi Campus Plan Revisited, part 4, phase 5 and beyond. So just reminding you, our current plan, after we would do the phase 4 work, which was phase 5 on this chart, is we do the new music building, the new gymnasium, all of those parts. So we do a new music building because it's really in just the wrong place. That'd be the new phase 5. Then we do the new gymnasium. This is the new blue gym with the tennis courts on top. This is our competition gym. We'd also do the Greek theater. Then we do the field flip, moving football to where baseball is and moving baseball and softball and splitting them up with some parking underneath. And then we finally finish it with the stadium seating. And that's our current plan, and it's still a good plan. It'll take us out to about 2041, we think. This is what it might look like. It'll take a time and money, but it's still a good plan to complete the entire campus. So these are the steps. We'd have music building as phase 5. We'd have to build a temporary gym, and then build a new blue gymnasium. And then we'd have the field 7 field flip with separate softball, baseball fields, temporary football and soccer field with the track, and then we'd finally finish the stadium with everything and the stadium seating with the parking structure. This is what it might look like. Now, one of the things that came up that we weren't expecting, but it threw an interesting question in the mix, which was the city of Santa Monica decided to surplus the Civic Auditorium. Now, the Civic Auditorium, which you see across the campus over here in this location, when we first started looking at it, we really didn't see a way that it would be helpful to the school and to the district. But as we took a deeper look, we came up with a possibility. And here's the plan. We're going to tell you about it that we've been considering and we've looked into. So the historic Civic Auditorium, this is a picture from 1958. This is what it originally looked like. It has always been a community gathering place, hosting concerts, events, sports, and the Academy Awards. It was built in 1958. The architect was Welton Beckett. It is part of the Civic Center and the Civic Center plan. It was landmarked locally in 2002, but it was closed in 2013 due to seismic and accessibility challenges. So it's been closed for a decade. Here's sort of what it looks like today. Not the prettiest picture. So we looked into this and with an idea that we would take the building and we would be able to rehabilitate and adaptively reuse the Santa Monica Civic Auditorium. This plan is driven completely by how it supports students. So it's a good plan for students, and it has a significant benefit for the community. In no way is the district looking at or planning or thinking about demolishing the Civic Auditorium. Our plan is to restore it and use it both as a gymnasium and as a performance space. So what we found when we looked at our feasibility study, and we did a very extensive feasibility study, is that the facility can be brought up to the Field Act, which is required so that students can be in that building. The building can be modified for the planned use while retaining the historic integrity. We'd use it predominantly as a competition gym, because one of the things about this building is it was built as a multi-use space. So we'd use it as a competition gym, so we would no longer need to build the new blue gym. And it would also be available for entertainment and events for community use, as it was originally intended. The addition of the Civic would improve the Samohi Campus Plan, reducing time and cost, getting students into better facilities. The operating costs would be subsidized by rentals, and the construction costs to renovate and bring this building up are significant, but they would potentially save taxpayer funds. And I'll describe all of this in a moment. So this is what it might look like if we were to take over the Civic and rehabilitate it and bring it back to life, very much like it looked before. Now, We took a deep look at this, and so much needs to be done. The structural and seismic parts of this are substantial. Bringing it up to fire life safety codes are substantial. Accessibility requirements, environmental regulations, supporting the historic aspects of it, and all the system, mechanical, plumbing, electrical technology, acoustics, everything would have to be replaced. It's quite a lot of work to bring this building back. It's not in good shape. Right now, we do, but the core is there, but we would be able to retain most of the historic elements. But we took a look at the lobby and how we could do it and how we could make better entry spaces. Now, one of the challenges is the great feature of this building is the movable tilt floor. So the audience floor tilts about 5 feet. So it goes from a flat floor for events and activities, dinners, galas, things like that, to a raked floor, a tilted floor for performances for sightlines. Now, the challenge, we've looked into this deeply, and with the new seismic codes, we would not be able to keep that function. It needs to be frozen in one place or the other. For our purposes, we would freeze it as a flat floor and then add additional ways to make the performance work. But the space, as you see, has bleacher seating on one side, a flat floor, and then the stage house. So we would be able to retain the landmark features, maintaining this mid-century Italian international style, the grand canopy, the pylons, glass walls, the brise soleil, but it all involves a lot of challenges. And on the interior, we'd be able to retain most of these landmark designations, these designated features. So here was the look from 1958, just to get you excited. It could go back to looking very much like this. Here's the audience space. I don't know how many of you have been in the theater, but just so you can see what the space looks like. This is set up for a concert. This was from the Academy Awards at the time. And then it also was used as an athletic space. This is something a lot of people forget, is they had tennis, boxing, wrestling. It's always been a little bit of everything. So we look into making it a space for our competition gymnasium, both basketball, volleyball, and wrestling. And we have enough space and seating to do all of that in the floor and bring all of that back. It was also used for performances, and we would be able to continue to use it for performances with some elevators that would raise the stage, so we'd have the appropriate sight lines from the flat floor. So here's what we were looking at. I mean, this is driven from the Samohi Campus Plan. We were going to build the blue gymnasium, and this is the program for that gymnasium. It includes basketball, volleyball, wrestling, athletic locker rooms, but we would use all of these things and they would fit inside this space. Here's a look of one way we might do it. This is the option where we take off the 2 wings on either side of the main building and adaptively rebuild those and adjust those to add additional functions that the school would need. So here's a floor plan. It shows from the lobby. Coming in the lobby, we'd bring back the 2 circular concession stands, limit this large addition that was done, have the areas for the restrooms here. We'd also add additional restrooms in the west wing. And then through the sloped walks or the vomitorium, we would add in some accessibility areas because these slopes are too steep. This shows it's set up for basketball, but it'd also be able to be done for full performances with bleachers that are brought in temporarily, the stage with a stage lift that would take it up to create the stage look. We would also remove the east wing, and on the east side, we'd add in our athletic functions. So student lockers, coach's office, more student lockers, the wrestling room, and the athletics fitness area. To the west, we would have a large community room, not quite as large as the current one on the west. On the east, we'd also have visitor locker rooms, a kitchen, and facility use offices. So what we'd be talking about for the school use is we'd have 80 days required use for volleyball, basketball, and wrestling, with a potential of other days when it's not booked out. and then about 20 days of use for performances for Stairway, College Fair, Convocation, things like that. But this would allow up to 100 and 120 estimated rentable days for concerts, speaking series, films, galas, banquets, theater, youth sports events, corporate events, filming location, esports, community events. It would really be able to return to being the community center that it was. So this multi-use facility would have state-of-the-art functions, which would include, the audience floor, which allows for a lot of potential. The stage and orchestra pit would be on lifts to create the appropriate sight lines. Rigging infrastructure, both over the audience and over the stage, would be upgraded. Acoustic enhancements, making the space really great for amplified sound. Audio, visual, and lighting package, broadcast capabilities, and catering. Challenge is, this is going to be pricey. Our estimate, if we were able to begin work on this soon, is that it would be about $225 million to do what the district would need to do to bring this up to use. It would be at least $200 million for practically anyone else to do similar work. So this is part of the challenge, is it would be expensive. And to pay for this, the district would be going out for a general obligation bond that would be voted on by the voters to support it. Now, this is separate than a bond we would be going out for in 2024 for our elementary and middle school projects and the Samohi Campus Plan Phase 4. So these are two different fundings. And so you can expect the one that we have great needs for our schools. This is the other one. Some of the things we don't know is the purchase price where the district has yet to negotiate with the city on those terms. Okay. But one of the things we're committed to is the school district is not going to purchase or get the civic auditorium and then come to a place where we have no choice but to demolish the auditorium. So before we commit to this, we need to clear a number of contingencies. We would have to pass the bond for the cost. We would have to get a certificate of appropriateness from the Landmarks Commission, saying that what we were doing with the landmarks and the historical resources was appropriate. We'd have to have approval from the Division of the State Architect. It's going to be challenging because they really want us to bring it up to appropriate code for students to be there. We'd have to get a coastal development permit from the California Coastal Commission. Also, we have to do environmental assessment. We have to work with CDE to expand the campus. We'd have to do a subsequent EIR, environmental impact report. There'd be zoning, lot splits, and a potential amendment of the civic plan. All of these contingencies can be closed in 2 to 3 years, and that's when we would be able to commit to it. Now, the other reason why this is a great idea for the Samohi is that if we can add those 3 acres across the street and the civic auditorium, we no longer have to do a number of things. So the track and football field can remain in place. The Greek Memorial Theater would get upgraded. We'd demo the North Gym, but not need to replace it with a new blue gymnasium. We'd keep the new softball and baseball fields, but we'd separate them. We'd put in new tennis courts, new outdoor basketball courts. We'd need a new field house, but it would allow for all of that and some parking. Here's a sort of look of what we would do to split the fields. A new field house. Football field would remain where it is, adding in new tennis courts, the Greek improvements, and everything else would sort of stay the same. There's another look. So we would add some bleachers and stands to use the football field. We know how popular that has become. But the big deal is we'd be able to finish this potentially by 2031, 2032. And that savings of time and money would make this deal very, very significant. So this is what that would look like. Just to say, we had a conversation that came, okay, let me finish up that. So the Civic Auditorium, where we are right now, is the district has backed off to allow the city to look for other people who might come in and renovate the space. Some groups and people think that they have someone who would come in and do it and even pay for it. And if that can happen, that's great. The district has a plan and we don't need to do this. However, if this starts to seem like a good idea, then it's something we would like to pursue, and it's something we'd have to have a lot more conversation about. But it's something that we do think is a good idea for both the school and for the community. Another plan we have, just to throw this out, is some people are really tired of construction and would like us to do less. So we offer the reduced plan, the redux plan, where we would, in phase 5, we'd keep the football and softball fields where they are, soccer field where they are, sorry, football and soccer, do the upgrades to the Greek, keep the North Gym, do a modernization of it, and then build the new baseball, softball fields, new outdoor tennis courts, basketball courts, a new field house. So it would look something like this. And it would mean that we could finish this out by 2032, 2033. It's a lot less. It's not as great a facility. And we lose a few things along the way. Some basketball courts indoors, some lanes of track, other things, some parking. But this might be a plan, and we want to just offer it that it is an opportunity. Here's one way it could be built out. Here's another alternative with changing the orientation of the baseball, softball fields and the parking underneath. So that's what we're discussing. We're going to have a lot more discussions over the next few years, next few months and few years, so we can know where to go with phase 4. Phase 3 is coming. It is in process. So where we're going to go with phase 4, and then that will lead us into the longer discussion about phase 5 and how we finally build out the full campus plan. Thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope this has been informative. Please contact me if you have any questions. Carrie Upton, Chief Operations Officer. My phone number, 310-450-8338, extension 79382. Or by email, cupton@smmusd.org. Thank you.